Coming up on Texas Parks and Wildlife.
The trailer camera is a 16-foot box trailer that I turned into a giant camera and darkroom.
These flood events are important because GAR will trigger and spawn at these pulse events.
I live outside. I have the most beautiful home of anybody.
Texas Parks and Wildlife, a television series for all outdoors.
I'm Kasnoff, and I'm the creator of the trailer camera.
Setting up for my solo show about the trailer camera. Some people coming tonight to come check out this stuff. Hopefully, there will be people here. I mean, this isn't like one of those shows where it's like, look at all this amazing stuff I've done. It's more like, look at the journey. It's more about the process of the trailer camera, I think. At least it is for me.
I'm a production designer in the film business, mostly television commercials and short documentaries, and a photographer as well, kind of a multi-tool of a production person.
And action. Nice.
It supports my photography addiction.
Good girl.
Kasnoff lives near Austin, Texas, with his wife, 2 kids, a dog, and a lot of stuff that he collects.
All right. I do have a lot of things happening at my little compound. Nice pole barn. This is my Silver Streak, an Airstream project. My office sanctuary, storage for unused things. Got the trailer camera, of course.
All right, just straight now.
The trailer camera is a 16-foot box trailer that I turned into a giant camera and darkroom.
All right, stop.
Basically a Polaroid camera on steroids. So I climb inside the trailer camera. There's a lens sticking out of the back. Focus an image on a surface inside the camera. Then I will expose the paper with a very crude shutter. From there, I'll take the paper and I'll put it through a developer, a stop bath, a fix, and a rinse. 6, 7 minutes later, I'll have a giant print. It's not easy to approach photography this way.
Ian started taking pictures back in the days before digital cameras, when images were captured on film.
When I was a kid, a roll of 24 photographs meant something. You really had to make each one count. And years later, when you get into digital, it was great because you could just snap happy. You could go around and shoot tons and tons of stuff, and then realizing I'm taking 7,000 images in 5 days, and you're spending all your time at a computer. Why did you take all the rest of them? And it's because you can.
These are basically scouting photos for the Bastrop State Park.
And that is the idea behind the trailer camera. Shoot fewer pictures, but make each one count. And in the end, you get an actual physical print.
This is a picture of out at a lake and a stock tank in Blanco. Wyman Minzer, portrait of his sons, Adrian Whip, Spencer Peoples, a girl named Kelly. This is my wife. She's gonna love that I'm showing this. I think it's a beautiful picture.
The trailer camera is great for shooting portraits, but Ian wanted to shoot some landscapes as well. That led to a series of photographs at some of the more scenic state parks throughout Texas.
So I'm not sure how many Texas state parks there are. I've been to probably a dozen. Each one is so unique and so beautiful. They all have a really beautiful photographic opportunity.
You guys have that map, right? Yeah. It's been 15 years since I've been to Enchanted Rock. It's so breathtaking. There's so much to it. I was getting distracted by some of the features, the geography. I mean, I wanted to stop and shoot everything. This is a developer. Shadows, I'm getting up to 4 seconds.
Couldn't have asked for better conditions.
3, 2, 1. Wow.
I never knew there was a little lake back there.
It's pretty cool, huh?
Instead of just like, you know, a perfect photograph that exposes everything really well, I kind of wanted a high contrast, high key image to where you could even turn the photograph vertically and it's more of an interpretation of the space. To me, it has almost an otherworldly feel to it.
It is bright.
So then next we shot at Bastrop State Park.
I'm gonna do 1 second at F32.
I did a portrait of one of the park rangers there.
Hold that, nice and steady.
He was kind enough to sit for us and endure the agony that is getting shot with this thing.
All right, relax.
Portraits are really tough with this camera. You have to sit still quite a bit, a lot of do-overs.
Perfect.
It's really revealing. Everything kind of becomes a case study, a character study. You see things in it that you don't see in just with your naked eye. I think everybody who knows Bastrop State Park knows about the fires and knows how devastating it was. You know, Bastrop is really striking when it's full old growth, and it was really striking when it was, you know, the burned trees. At the point when we got out there, it was kind of neither. But what I did really notice is the CCC buildings. So I got the idea to go search around and look at some of these buildings, and I found there's a lookout up top. And when I was doing my test photograph, I lined it real square, real symmetrical, real centered, and as I did that, there was a sapling growing up right as you look right through, just one little sapling. So I felt that here's this building that has stood the test of fires, floods, time, and then you have this little bit of life, the rebirth of Bastrop State Park in the back. I think Bastrop is still a beautiful park, one of the best ones around.
Ian made a few more stops on his state park odyssey. At Caddo Lake, he made the first really large prints of the series. At Palo Duro, rapid changes in the weather resulted in two similar but very different photographs. By the time Ian got to Davis Mountain State Park, he was on his fourth focusing screen, his sixth lens, his second truck, and his third trailer.
Screws up.
I experienced one of those moments where I thought, this is so hard, this is so ridiculous. I am just making my life miserable by trying to make photographs with this thing.
It's some darkness.
I just kind of was like, well, nothing else is working, so let's just do something that shouldn't work.
The result, perhaps the most striking landscape of the series.
The way that the mountains, you know, in the valley and the hills are kind of edge lit, and then you have this like kind of sliver of glowing sky, and then it just transitions into these clouds and sky that are so rich and so dramatic and vibrant. The kind of photograph I wanted to make with this thing, I was finally holding it in my hand. I realized that I'd finally done it. It's crazy what these four wheels and a steel box have done, how great it's been. It is a 16-foot long, 7-foot wide, 6.5-foot tall trailer. Yeah, I also bought a bigger truck during this.
A year and a half after he started work on the State Park series, Ian put together his first exhibition of the trailer camera photographs. It probably won't be his last.
This process of shooting with the trailer camera has really made me a better photographer all around, because it's made me much more selective about the time I'm spending, not just making an image, but also what am I going to do with it afterwards. I'm going to put it up on a mat board and make a beautiful frame print. I'm going to hang it up and someone's going to love it. It's going to be a work of art that someone's going to appreciate.
In science in general, there's just not a lot of really new, innovative things. This is an example of something that was really innovative and new that had never been done before.
My name is Karim Aziz, and this is the story on how the flood inundation model was made for alligator gar habitat needs. I was in the break room one day, and Clint came in with this idea. We need to figure out where these gar are spawning, when they're spawning, and if there's available habitat for them to spawn at. That's the problem. There's not a lot of data that's out there about that. And yeah, for their spawning needs. Can we do that here in the office? And I said, yeah, let's look. I'll look for the data, and I will work on figuring out how this is going to happen. Well, if anybody can do it, it's him, because he is the man who draws rivers. These flood events are important because gar will trigger and spawn at these flood pulse events. So I started to look at some programs that are available for flood inundation, and they just kept crashing. So I started to think of an alternate way of doing it. It was at an American Fisheries Society meeting, and I sat down with Dr. Tom Hardy, who is the internationally known person for in-stream flow studies. And I said, hey, this is what I'm thinking about doing. I'm thinking about generating these theoretical water surface elevations and putting them on a digital elevation model. And I drew it out on a napkin with cross sections and everything. And he goes, yeah, looks great, go with it. So our primary data sources were Texas Regional Water District, the Texas Natural Resource Information System, and Texas Parks and Wildlife. We were able to then zero in at the preferred habitat type that alligator gar are looking for. I was able to go out and get GPS points on the edges of the water, but it gets better. During one of these flood events, Matt, who works at the Richland Creek Wildlife Management Area, was out walking the grounds, and he happened upon these gar that were courting, and he thought, hey, someone's going to want to see this. And that's when I got excited about it. I overlaid that GPS point on top of the model, and I sent that to Matt, and I said, this is what the model is saying that the habitat is. How close is it? And he wrote back and said, that's what's out there. Clint and I got back together, and he says, hey, this is great. This shows us where the habitat is, how much of the habitat there is, and what kind of habitat there is. This is going to help with management practices for alligator gar. Models are fun to develop and fun to work with. They really are sometimes. But then when you get something like this, that what the models are predicting is close to what's going on in reality, well, that was like the icing on the cake for me.
There are more ways than ever to help Texas Parks and Wildlife protect the outdoors through the Conservation License Plate Program. More than $9 million has been generated from the sale of these plates, funding wildlife research and big game restoration, protecting native species and their habitats, studying fish populations to improve Texas fishing.
How do you like that?
Improving Texas state parks through reforestation and other projects.
We got one.
Yes, yes.
Every plate on a car, truck, trailer, or motorcycle means more money to support wild things and wild places in Texas.
West Texas is very unique. It's a whole different atmosphere. The rocks are probably my favorite part of West Texas. There are the weirdest colors and the weirdest formations. Some of the canyons have just stripes of rocks. It creates this amazing texture. Love it. He's not gonna jump at me, is he? Really neat. I am Mandy Lee, and I'm a photographer. Home is in Phoenix, not the city. Phoenix is the name of my camper, which I live in. I do not have a brick and mortar home anywhere. I live full-time in my Teardrop trailer, just traveling. This is Phoenix. This is my home. It's my bedroom, my living room, my office, everything but my kitchen, which is outside, and my bathroom, which is outside. This is a queen-size bed in here, and that's pretty much where the walls are. Probably about the size of my closet in my apartment. It really is. I had a nice big closet, and this is probably about the size of it. Luckily, I'm a really tiny person, so tiny home works. What people don't realize is this is just the room. I live outside, and that's huge. I have the most beautiful home of anybody. There's this really cool spot. You can see the Rio. It's really about living your life to the fullest and realizing that life is too short to be unhappy. In general, it takes work to get to the best spot. I guess my mission is to try to show people things they don't normally get to see, to inspire them to do the things they wouldn't normally do. So I want to use my photography to do that. Unbelievable. So beautiful. Today, there's just beautiful blues and yellows and great clouds tonight. Maybe you can hear the birds. You can even hear the river. I do shoot a lot of landscapes. Because of that shift in perspective, there we go. There's something awe-inspiring that nature created that. And I find beauty in the small things too, but something about the mountains really draws me. My parents and my sister and I would go camping. Every vacation was camping growing up, and we did that around Colorado, but when I moved to Texas, I took that spirit with me. I'm not sure if being outdoors slows me down, but it does put life into perspective and make me more aware. This is going to be such a pretty sunrise. It's going to turn red. Pretty much the best way to wait for your coffee. Look at that. The only routine I have is drinking coffee in the morning. And as long as I get my coffee, then the rest of the day is wide open. I'm giving workshops or speaking somewhere, or I might get to shoot or hike or visit somebody. Every day is different, and that's what's so amazing. It's really important to me not to be the couch surfing, starving artist. I don't have a secret jackpot. It's important to me that I contribute to society and I'm a working member of this world, but I'm convinced I can do that from the road. I haven't figured out the magic formula yet. I'm poorer than ever, but I'm happier than ever. In my old life, it was very routine. Every day was almost the same. I had a steady 9-to-5 job, and I would work every day, kind of in a cubicle. I was starting to get really burnt out, and I was getting burnt out on photography, which I really didn't want to do because that was my passion. So I decided to go on a photography workshop to the Grand Tetons. And the minute I was back in the mountains, I instantly realized I was not living my life the way I was supposed to be living my life. And in the course of this one sunrise, I made up my mind to just change everything. I began camping around Texas at McKinney Falls and Pedernales and Palmetto, all these state parks, and then I realized that wasn't going to be enough for me either, and I was going to have to expand to the whole country. I turned in my notice for my apartment complex to be out, and I began getting rid of all of my things, and I began to get my camper ready to live in. And I was almost there, and I went out one day and it was gone.
A photographer who was victimized by thieves and her beloved trailer stolen. The story that's now gone viral, Lydia.
Well, this is the area where the trailer was stolen. Since then, the owner has been pleading with people to help her find it.
I was just heartbroken. My first thought was that I was going to have to cancel my plans.
This is the plea Mandy Lee posted on Facebook, and 78,000 Facebook users shared her post. Then last night, her beloved trailer found. The trailer was in pretty rough condition. No word yet on when she will get it back.
It was a really tough month, but between insurance and this huge outpouring of support, I was able to start fresh, and I left Austin the day I picked up my new camper. There's a lot of hard things about living on the road, but not for 1 minute have I regretted what I'm doing.
Oh, sweet. I can get the whole thing right here. Yay, wide angle.
Big Bend has the rocks and cactus. The Davis Mountains have a lot more grass. In the higher altitude, you're getting into a little brushier feel, and certainly bigger trees. Plugged into power and water, it's like I can just do whatever I want. If it's raining or not nice weather outside, this is where I'll sit and edit. It's not bad. Not always the best conditions, but there's always something fun to shoot. You go to work, you go to the gym, you go to the store, and you go home. And that becomes your entire world. And then when you go outside and you see a mountain on top of the Davis Mountains, you realize this world is so much bigger than what you're used to in your daily life. And we forget about that. It's getting cool, and great night for a fire, actually. When I embarked on this journey, I decided that I was going to live this life as long as I was successful. Success to me isn't becoming rich. Success is sustained happiness. So as long as I can sustain this life and be happy, I see myself doing it indefinitely. I could spend the rest of my life traveling the United States and still not see everything I want to see. The magnificence of these mountains and the waterfalls, it really makes you realize how small we are. I've spent the last year shooting Texas, and I still haven't seen all of it. This is a big, grand state. People forget what's out there.